Hi all, in this video, let's learn about JavaScript interview question. That is how to find the element occurrences in an array. So let's see that. So if this is our input, so the expected output should be in this way, like the output should be like one is occurred how many times in this array? So 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So one was occurred 4 times. In the similar way, how many times 2 was occurred? So 2 was occurred 2 times and 3 also occurred 2 times, and also 4, the element 4 occurred here once and here once. It was also occurred 2 times. So likewise, so you need to have how many times an element was occurred in this array. The expected output should be in this format. So let's get started. So let's take a constant. Okay, we are taking an object. So we are taking an empty object here. Now let's use a loop. So we need to iterate over each and every element to identify how many times it was there in this array. So that's the reason we are taking a loop. So we'll take a special loop called for off loop. So let me take this loop for off loop. So usually we use this for off loop, especially for the arrays, to get each and every element from this array. So in this element now what we'll be having is, so let me write this, the element will have the items in the array. So each and every item, for each and every iteration, you'll be having each and every element from this array. Okay, this is the for off loop. Fine. So now what logic we are going to write? So we have taken an empty object here. So our understanding of thought process is, so we'll check whether this key, whether this element is available in this object or not. If this element is not available in this object, we'll keep this element. What we'll do is we'll keep this element as a key. Okay, and we'll keep, this is first occurrence, right? So first time while we are iterating, what we do, we take this element and we'll check whether this element is available in this object or not. This is an empty object. That's the reason this element will not be available. Now what we are going to do, we'll keep this as a key and we'll assign it as a 1 because this is the first occurrence, one as came. So that's the reason we are telling this as a 1. So key is the element and 1 is how many times it was assigned. So this is what we'll be doing. So now let's do that. So if what we'll do is count of element. So this is what we'll do. If the count of element is there, it means, what does it mean? So let me write here, count of 1. So why we are using a square notation means, here if you use a dot notation like this, it won't work because a number or a digit is not a valid property name for the object. So that's the reason we are using a square notation. So this is what we'll be using here. Now what happens, you will use count of 1. You use something like this. And now count of 1 means whether this count of 1 means whether this has the value or not. Initially it is empty, right? Initially the object would be empty. Now what we are checking, count of 1. It means, do you have any key with the value 1? This is what we are checking. So count of 1 means we are checking whether we have any value to this key. Okay, as the object is empty, you won't have anything, but we are checking, do you have any value to this key? But 1 is not a key yet. So that's the reason this if block fails. So as this is the first occurrence, we'll take the first occurrence in the else block. If the first occurrence in the else block, then we'll keep the element, okay, element as a key, and we'll assign that with a 1. So now what happens after this iteration, what happens? It means we are taking an object, count object. In the count, what we'll be having after this iteration is, we'll be having 1 as a key. Okay, that will be string that would be automatically converted by JavaScript. 1 is a key. So this is the first occurrence. And how many times it was got? It's the first time. That's the reason we'll be having 1 as a value. Here the element and how many times it was occurred as a value. This is for the first iteration. For the second iteration, the second element is 1. So now let's check 1. Count of 1. Now again, you are checking whether the count of 1 is available or not in this object. So count of 1, yes, it is available. You have a key with 1. So that's the reason you will not go to the else block. As this if block is true, it will go inside this if block. Okay, it went into this if block. What it should do? So already you have a key and its value, its occurrences. Now what it should do? It needs to increase this value. This value should become 2. So now for that, what we are going to do? Count of element equal to count of element plus 1. So count of element means what you will be getting? The value of this key. Count of element means count of 1, in fact. Okay, you'll be getting count of 1 means you'll be getting 1 and you're adding 1 to that 1. Okay, count of element means this is the key and the value will be getting here as a 1. 1 plus 1, 2, and you are assigning the same value to count of element. So now what it becomes 2 because you have a key with 1 and the occurrences are 2 times. So that's the reason you have updated it to 2. So now let's go back to the another iteration called 4. So now count of 4. So now let's verify count of 4. Is the key with the 4 is available in this count object? No, right? It is not available. So that's the reason what this if loop returns. Yes, you are trying to access a key with the 4 as it's a key, but that key is not available in this object. So this if block fails and it goes to the else block. So as this is the new entry, now you are going to, again, what you're going to do, you are assigning 1 to this key. So 4 is a key and now you'll be assigning that as a 1 because this is the first entry. So similarly, if you get the 4 once again, so let me modify this as a 4. Now if the second, and now in the another iteration, if you get the 4, now it will verify whether the 4 is available or not. Yes, if the 4 key is available in this object. That's the reason this if block returns something. What it returns? It returns 1 here. 1 is a true value. That's the reason it goes inside this if block. What we are doing in this if block, we are taking the value, I mean the current value of this 1. Okay, now it goes to 1. Count of element means count of this element. You are trying to access the value of this key. You'll be getting 1 here. 1 plus 1, you'll be having 2 here, and you are assigning the 2 back to this key value. So now you'll be having 2 here. So this is how you will be forming your object by iterating through each and every element. If that is the first element, the first occurrence, it will go to this else block and it will just assign the 1 value to that key because it is the first occurrence. If that is a subsequent occurrence, what it does is here this if block does true and you're going and you are incrementing the value for that key and you're assigning back that value to this key. For the better understanding, I have explained this with the if and else. It can be still simplified a lot. So let's write the same. So let's see the output first. So let me write the count and let me print the count here, count object here. So and let's see the output here. So now, yes, we got, so 1 is occurred 4 times, 2 is occurred 2 times, 3 is occurred 2 times, 4 is occurred 3 times. Yes, we could able to find the elements occurrences in an array. Fine. So this code can be still optimized for the better understanding. I made this like this. So yes, we can do this with the ternary operator as well. Let me show you that. So you can just take this. You need to assign this value, right? Yes. Let's take this, copy. Okay. Now, if this condition is true, it means the element, the key is available in the array. Then what you need to do? You need to increment that. You need to assign back. Okay. If the element is first occurrence, so then you just keep that as a 1. So simplifying that, it becomes like this. So still it can have a better optimal solution, but this would be an best idea to find the elements occurrences in an array in JavaScript. Hope you understand the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.